To you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mahlengi, our spokesperson of the African National Congress, NEC. As earlier introduced, my name is Thandi Moraga, the chairperson of the Subcommittee on Sport, Arts and Culture on behalf of the NEC. I'm not alone here. I'm also with the Deputy Chair, Comrade Donald Slamulela, and also Comrade Zizi, who is a member of the subcommittee and also our deployee in government responsible for matters that has to do with sports, recreation, arts and culture in the country. I think, Comrade spokesperson, ours as a subcommittee is to make it a point that we continue to champion issues of social cohesion and nation building through the delivery of sport, arts and culture programs. Of course, working together with our deployees in government, because we believe that through those programs, that's where we can strengthen issues of national identity and also issues of driving social cohesion amongst our communities. We believe that as a subcommittee, we need to brief the media and the public at large with regard to the matter that has been in the media for wrong reasons. We know that our Springboks are currently competing in the World Cup challenge in France, where they are really representing the country with pride and that dedication. And we believe that the issue of the non-compliant with regard to the World Anti-Doping Agency regulations is something that needs to be attended to by the leadership that is here this weekend as the NEC, because we want to see the team representing us with pride without any hindrance whatsoever. And we are pleased with the developments that had happened ever since the matter was brought to our attention. Comrade Zizi and his team in the department have responded promptly by dealing with the appeal as they've lodged it already, because our Springboks, they were running a risk of being banned from carrying a flag at that international stage where they are currently competing at the Rugby World Cup. And we know that, when you are being banned from bearing your national flag, it can also dampen the spirit of our players. It can also contribute to a particular performance of our athletes, and we want to really appreciate the promptness of our deployee, Comrade Zizi, in this regard with his team for having appealed to that ruling of World Anti-Doping as they were attempting to ban us as a country from holding our flag. And I'm going to hand over to Comrade Zizi if there is any issue that he wants to add that talks to the process of appeal and where we are as a country, because where we are as a subcommittee want to see our national teams winning the World Cups, bringing us that championship that we always celebrate every time when our teams are competing in a competitive sport at the international globe. Comrade Zizi, over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Comrade Mahlengi. Obviously, the focus for us now in terms of the sporting front, our preoccupation is that we must deal with off-the-field issues in a manner that it does not defocus our national teams from participating in winning the campaign, the World Cup in India as well as in Paris. Time to time, because South Africa is one of the leading countries when it comes to anti-doping. Of course, time to time, the World Anti-Doping Agency, through its various committees, such as the Compliant Review Committee called CRC, it does what is called an audit of the compliance of all countries, whether from a point of view of the legislation, whether countries or athletes are using what is called prohibited substances. An audit was done about our compliance in terms of our legislation, and it was found that various provisions of the legislation, which is the South African Institute of Anti-Doping, was found not to be compliant with a new code or with a new doping code of WADA. And of course, the difficulty there was that WADA sometimes gives you a very short timelines of amending the legislation. And as you know, in terms of the South African law process making, it takes a little bit of time because it has got elements of public participation. So it's not over a stroke of a pen that we can amend the legislation in South Africa. So we have not been able to amend to a point where they arrive at the decision they took. What has happened since is that subsequent to that decision, the Minister of Arts and Culture and then had a conversation through a correspondence to the President of WADA, President Banka, to seek an audience to explain South Africa's difficulty, but also to recommit ourselves to anti-doping, that there shouldn't be any questions about South Africa's commitment to anti-doping. We are the host of WADA Regional Office in Cape Town. We have one of the world-class facility of anti-doping in the Free State. Most countries in the continent, they come to us on issues of anti-doping. So South Africa's commitment on anti-doping is unquestionable. Of course, the issues about compliance, through our appeal does indicate, firstly, our commitment to anti-doping, but the grounds of appeal are various grounds. One of the grounds of our appeal is that we don't think the classification in terms of what is said to be non-compliant is correct. Because we're not just non-compliant as if we're a country that is not committed to anti-doping. But of course, as soon as we filed an appeal, it then suspended the consequences immediately. Hence, there was also a response from WADA, one, acknowledging our appeal, two, indicating that the appeal will now be heard by what is called Court of Arbitration of Sport, CAS, because it cannot be WADA that also must hear our appeal, because it was WADA that took a decision. So an independent body called CAS will then listen to that appeal. They may decide what to do about that appeal. We're making two issues in the appeal. Rescind your decision, or keep your decision in abeyance and give us time to amend the legislation between now and May next year. We're suggesting May because we don't want to give ourselves short time, understanding that December and January is a month of less of activity in South Africa. And therefore, it will give us November and the 3 months of the year, February and March and April, to do the amendment. Where is the bill at the moment? The bill has been approved by Cabinet, which sat on the 4th of October. The bill is now with the Office of the State Law Advisor. Why the Office of the State Law Advisor? To see if the new amendments are not in conflict with the principal act of the law, of the land, which is the Constitution. From there, it then goes to Parliament. Parliament has got its own way. We have already interacted with the leader of government business, who is the Deputy President of the Republic, to ask if there is a way to fast-track the bill, because it's important that we must fast-track that bill. Are we the only country that finds itself in this way? No. France has been in this situation. Spain has been in this situation. Argentina has been in this situation. We're not the only country that has been found by WADA not to be compliant with the legislation. But of course, we've got to act quickly. Our appeal is that their deadline of January may not be possible. Our appeal is that they must allow us up until May, because like I indicated, January is a month of inactivity, both in Parliament and even from a point of view of government. So that is where we're at the moment. We had a delegation from WADA that visited us in Cape Town to see other things. So we have had an engagement with them a few days ago. That it was a secretariat that we're looking at our compliance, because the issue now, should we continue to be the host of WADA Regional Office in the light of their decision? Because you can't host a WADA Regional Office if you are found to be non-compliant. So that too is part of negotiations between ourselves. We hope that our Minister of Arts and Culture, in his engagement with President Banka, will be able to make sure that we continue to host. We've been a host of that WADA office for 20 years in South Africa. We don't see that at a stroke of a pen, WADA should take away, because other countries have already put a bid to host WADA regional office. Morocco, Kenya, and ourselves. we insist that we must continue to host that office. Will that affect our participation? No. In the recommendations, people conflated the issue of the national anthem. In the recommendations of the consequences, national anthem was not even mentioned. It was only the flag and hosting of continental, regional, and international games. Tournaments. So the issue of national anthem was not in the consequences. Therefore, in our appeal, we don't even mention it, because wherever we were banned, we were going to be allowed to sing a national anthem, to wear the national colors, but not to fly the flag. So the issue was the flag, as well as hosting of continental, regional, and international games. So that is briefly where we're at. Tomorrow, like we did a day ago, when we played against Australia in India, we were able to fly our flag. Tomorrow we'll fly our flag, we'll sing a national anthem, we'll still wear our jersey. Everything else in terms of the consequences has been suspended because of our appeal. Thank you very much. I leave here with no questions.
See, you are in trouble because you are dealing with a communicator here. So thank you very much, Comrade Zizi. I do wish to turn to yourselves, media colleagues. Anyone who wants to fire away? I will suppress a viewer. He had a lot to say this morning, so let's start here, and then I'll go back to him. I'll start with you, my brother.
Kosnati Shazi, Power FM News. My question to Mr. Gota, you mentioned that you guys have asked Mr. Deputy President Thomas Shakira to help fast-track the passing of this bill. With the deadline set for May, are you guys confident that when May does come, this saga will be put to rest? Because the reason why I'm asking that, in the months that follow will be the 2024 Paris Olympics, set to be hosted in France. So are you guys confident of reaching that deadline in May, considering that we have an Olympics happening in June, which could potentially jeopardize the flag and all of that? Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Kosnati. NEC?
Managed to check what provisions were you not compliant with exactly?
What way?
What provisions were you not compliant with?
Got it. All right. Thanks very much, Aviwe. I want to come to this side of the room. Do we have any takers? I see Junior shaking his head. Ndebu is silent. Can I go back to Natasha?
Ndebu is not a sporting person.
No, I know.
Don't ask him about sport, Ndebu.
Then we go to Natasha.
Okay, with regards to Minister, my colleague just sent message just on the issue of the flag and the singing of the national anthem at the Rugby World Cup. I'm just asking, how did we even get to the situation? What was the delay in resolving it? Yeah.
All right, I think that's well noted. Shall we start with those? Back to you, Comrade Tandian, Comrade Zizi, and Comrade Donald, whoever wants to take it.
Okay. I'm sure many people, Natasha, like myself, I do ask a question, how did you get to this precipitous point? But I think it would be premature to make pronouncements without any facts. So what we committed to do is to investigate so that there are facts to this question. What happened? There are suggestions that people dropped the ball. It may be too early to make those pronouncements without any facts. The reason why you investigate is to make sure that such a matter, if there is anything, it must never happen again. The issue about, there is an appreciation from Cabinet, there's an appreciation from Portfolio Committee, there's appreciation from presiders of Parliament about the agents of the matter. Hence, one of the important steps that has been taken was Cabinet to approve the process. It was a very significant step to be taken. There's an appreciation even from the Portfolio Committee, which we briefed last week. Portfolio Committee, as you are aware, is a multi-party. So in other words, all parties in Parliament were in the Portfolio Committee. There's a greater appreciation of the work done, but also there's an appreciation that we must meet the deadline. The consequences of not meeting the deadline are too dire. And I think if you look at the work that needs to be done, it's possible to meet the deadline. And we are committed to working with the chairs of various committees in Parliament, making sure that the integrity of the process is important. We must not short-circuit the process. Public participation is an important element of our lawmaking. We can't short-circuit it. Because, you know, South Africa, we're a very litigious country. Somebody can take it to a court of law, then it's get rejected again. That's why we want to make sure that we follow every step in the law making so that the integrity of that law, the outcome is very important. What are the provisions? Mainly in the main, the provisions which were found not to be compliant is about definitions. We're in the main definitions. In 2021, WADA introduced a new code. That new code came with new definitions in the legislation. The new definitions now are in the bill. WADA, its executive, has now accepted the new definitions and accepted the draft bill. But of course, it's not an act. So it makes it easy that we can, with their appreciation too, is that they can now see that the new definitions in terms of the draft bill are in compliance with the new code which was adopted in 2021. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Clarity into
I really do sympathize for members of the media. Today they're just being
clarified.
Well, yes, but thank you very much, comrades. I just want one last check. All good.
Very good. Message for the World Cup teams. Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Let me just address something we addressed yesterday, Aviwe. Good to see you without that old hair. Now that you're talking about World Cup, something we addressed when we addressed another meeting yesterday. We think that there must be a conversation. We must have a standard chairperson. I know I do not lobby you on this matter. There must be a standard form in which we sing our national anthem. Every time I listen to every occasion, it depends on your innuendo and the diminuendo of your voice. It goes up, it goes down, your baritone. And sometimes it brought us years back, somebody called Rasta in France. You know Mkumbula? It was a huge international embarrassment. And I think as we go to this international, there must be a way, whether through vocals, whether through recorded, there must be a standard form. Because we can't be respected if it depends on your voice. Innuendo and diminuendo, notes. But I think our teams are showing that we're a sporting nation, and I think they will do well. To beat Australia in India, it was really emphatic. And I think we go to India, many people they think that we're underdogs. I have no doubt that our president has already taken a day off on the 28th to lift the cup in Paris. I spoke to him this morning that I suggest from Paris you are going to New Delhi to lift another World Cup. That's how confident we are in South Africa. And I think our teams are representing us very well. We have no doubt for tomorrow. There are many South Africans who are appealing to me that I must talk to the president to have Monday as a public holiday. Yes. And I think not only do they ridicule, but I think it's out of excitement and confidence that we will win the game tomorrow. Of course, in front of 80,000 supporters of France, it's not going to be easy, but our team has been conditioned. We will win. The bomb squad is ready to make sure that we win tomorrow.
Konstanty, is there a follow-up?
Yes, I'm
Go
so
ahead.
sorry. My last question, Minister Gota, the issue of South African supporters being sent to overseas nations to represent the country. There's been a lot of social media stir happening because of Umama Joy and I think Kona no Boga, but basically the South African sports supporters from club level and now been promoted to national level. The two were at Australia and New Zealand supporting Banyana. They're now in Paris, in France supporting Springboks. So I just wanted to find out, just with regards to that, the people that are sent to support South Africa, they sent by government using taxpayers' money. We just wanted clarity on that, and if it does indeed promote nation building. So just clarities around that issue. Thank you very much. Oh, the criteria.
Thank you very much, Comrade.
Yes, that's the question.
Comrade Zizi will respond to that. Comrade Zizi.
No, maybe we must look at the international trend first. Not far from us in the continent. You remember when Morocco went to the finals of AFCON? We were told about 30 planes of Moroccans went to the finals. That's how sporting nations love their nation. I can't remember which other country people had to be outside the stadium. That country, which was in the finals, had to do its own almost a mini stadium outside, fan zone. So this notion, which is in the context of our mandate as a department, of promoting South Africa flag, nation building and social cohesion. Mama Joy, obviously, I'm sure you know the story of Botha. You see them everywhere. I was with Mama Joy when we were at Wanderers watching cricket. And some of the people who are talking about her, they were not there. They think that they are raising the issue because she's in France watching rugby. So we shouldn't make rugby an exclusive sport of certain people. The story of Botha, he hashed from Morocco to Egypt following Bafana Bafana. That's how much he loved carrying the flag of South Africa. That is the story of Botha. So you're not talking somebody that there was a certain criteria he met with Ziz in Free State. No, look at his trend. That they've been everywhere. Mama Joy, I met her in New Zealand. Very cold, standing, cheering, Banyana Banyana. When you ask them why you support, they support football, they support cricket, they support every sport. Actually, they can't wait to go to India. It is all countries, they've got people called super fans. What do? Our international relations, they would time to time and say, we think in the context of the mandate of the department, these people, we have watched them internationally. They represent South Africa. We have a unit called International Relations. That unit, for example, we took Mama Joy to Paris. Mama Joy goes and follows Springboks, whether they play in Toulouse. It's not us who pay for her. There are other corporate who have now joined to support them. As we speak, the Arab League, they are inviting her to go on their own. They wanted to go and both to go to Arab League in Qatar because they've seen what they're doing. So we don't want to put a lot of politics around this issue because it's a distraction for us. And I think the mood in the country at the moment does not deserve this kind of a discussion. Because 62 million who are confirmed now by the census who are behind our national teams. These other distractions, how much, I think it's a matter that people know themselves. If you want to be a super fan, you don't just call this and say, I'm a super fan. We want to see you following the national teams. And I think that there are South African ambassadors, those two, including Saddam, the president of South African supporters, Saddam Mage. He's on his way to France. Uzohamba namu Saddam, including Igwijo. Gwijo is leaving for South Africa to join those 80,000 friends in France. Thank you very much.
I think we're done. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was this was sweet and short, but you've got the content you needed. Thank you very much,
I want to go to all issues now.
Every Monday, what will be the rationale?
Thank you.
You have a problem with your
Because it's on now.
Thank you, Brad.
You make it.
No.